Europe. Some are looking nervously at China. China has been nothing short of a financial miracle. In just 30 years, this state-controlled economy became the world's second largest, deftly managed by government policies and decrees. One sector the authorities concentrated on was real estate and construction. But that may have created the largest housing bubble in human history. If you go to China, it's easy to see why there's all the talk of a bubble. We discovered that the most populated nation on earth is building houses, districts, and cities with no one in them.
The story will continue in a moment.
So this is Zhengzhou, and we are on the major highway, or the major road, and it's rush hour, and it's almost empty. Gillam Tulloch is a Hong Kong-based financial analyst who was one of the first to draw attention to the housing bubble in China. He's showing us around the new eastern district of Zhengzhou in one of the most populated provinces in China. Not that you'd know it. We found what they call a ghost city of new towers with no residents, desolate condos, and vacant subdivisions, uninhabited for miles and miles and miles and miles of empty apartments. Why are they empty? I've heard that they have actually been sold.
They've all been sold. They've all been
sold.
Absolutely.
They're owned. Owned by people in China's emerging middle class who now have enough money to invest, but few ways to do it. They're not allowed to invest abroad. Banks offer paltry returns, and the stock market is a roller coaster. But 15 years ago, the government changed its policy and allowed people to buy their own homes, and the floodgates opened.
So what they do is they invest in property because property prices have always gone up by more than inflation.
And they believe it'll always go up.
Yeah, just like they believed in the US.
Actually, property values have doubled, tripled, and more. So people in the middle class have sunk every last penny into buying 5, even 10 apartments, fueling a building bonanza unprecedented in human history. No nation has ever built so much, so fast. How important is real estate to the Chinese economy? Is it central?
Yes, it's the main driver of growth and has been for the last few years. Some estimates have it as high as 20 or 30% of the whole economy.
But they're not just building housing. They're building cities.
Yes, that's right.
Giant cities being built with people not coming to live here.
Yes, I think they're building somewhere between 12 and 24 new cities every single year.
Unlike our market-driven economy, in China, it's the government that has spent some $2 trillion to get these cities built as a way of keeping the economy growing. The assumption is if you build it, they'll come. But no one's coming. This is really completely, totally empty, and it goes up. Gillam took us to this shopping mall that's been standing vacant for 3 years. Can I find this all over China?
Yes, you can. They've simply built too much infrastructure too quickly.
But I see KFC behind you.
Yep.
I see Starbucks over there. I see some other very recognizable American franchises coming in here.
Yep.
At least does that mean they have faith that this is going to ignite?
No, these are all fake signs. This is to give potential buyers the impression of what it might look like if they moved in.
They're not real. So KFC didn't buy this space or rent this space?
No, they haven't.
Starbucks?
No.
They just put the sign up?
That's right.
It's all make-believe, non-existent supply for non-existent demand. Look at that. Swarovski, Piaget. They're hoping for high-end, too.
H&M, Zara.
And it's all Potemkin.
Yeah.
It's surreal, and it's everywhere. Like the city of Ordos in Mongolia, built for 1 million people who didn't show up. And no, you're not in England. You're in Thamestown, a development near Shanghai built like an English village.
And it was finished, I think, around 5 or 6 years ago. And it must have cost close to $1 billion US. And you'll see it's still standing there empty.
Well, I've heard that there is some industry there, or some business, one business there.
Marriage.
Wedding pictures, is that right? And what's more uplifting than a wedding, or 10?
You can see these empty developments on the edge of almost every city in China.
What about the idea that China is urbanizing? People are flooding into cities, or want to anyway, from the rural areas, by the hundreds of millions.
Yeah.
And that this really is a smart move, build the housing to accommodate the urbanization process.
Well, so people are being moved into the cities, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they can afford these apartments, which, you know, cost $100,000 or whatever. I mean, these are poor people moving into the cities, so they're building the wrong sort of apartments.
And what's worse, to build all these massive cities, they've had to tear down what was there before, clearing rice fields and displacing, by some counts, tens of millions of villagers. On the edge of Zhangzhou, Gilliam and I came upon a strange sight.
I'm just watching what they're doing. Do you have any idea?
I think they're trying to recycle the bricks.
These villagers are salvaging what's left of their homes, bulldozed to make room for more empty condos, already encroaching in the distance.
There are all these empty apartments over here. Can they conceivably move into those upscale places?
Most people in China live on about or less than $2 a day, and these apartments probably cost upwards of $50,000 or $60,000, so it's very unlikely.
What will happen to them, do you think?
They'll be forced to relocate somewhere. I have no idea where they'll go.
These are the immediate casualties of the building boom. And there's another problem. Analysts warn that all this building has created a bubble that could burst.
So if the bubble bursts, who's left holding the bag?
There are multiple classes of people that are going to get wiped out by this. People who have invested 3 generations worth of savings, so grandparents, parents and children, into properties, will see their savings evaporate. And then, of course, there's 50 million construction workers who are